Hey, so, we did a discussion about this, I don't remember when, a little bit ago, and, one of the things we discussed was, hey, if there really is only 10 to 15 volumes left, it's a little weird, and we'll just jump right into it. I mean,
well, you see the tweet right on the screen.
Yeah, he has announced, apparently, in the author comments this week, that this is the final arc that he's entering, which I suppose makes the last chapter make a little bit more sense because it just seemed to be a really big shift into like, all right, we've met God now, and now there's the cover. People are looking at the cover and thinking it might be a time skip. I don't know. It's just, I have to be honest with you, the pacing in this series is all the fuck over the place. Like, ever since the first arc, the pacing has just felt like what he doesn't know what he wants to do with it. Listen, guys, I love this series, and if you don't want to hear someone talk about it critically, you can leave your dislike and leave now. But, and I'll just say, I'll start off the bat by saying I think the first arc of Promised Neverland is one of the most well-written things I've ever seen. It was beautiful, it was a great concept, I loved it. But I don't think he knew exactly. David just chugged an entire fucking vodka shot with a little bit of orange juice in it for flavor. Now he's shaking his head dismissively. But go ahead, David. Why don't you make a comment or two while you're pouring another drink?
That I really don't need. The fuck is this dude smoking? Like, okay, I respect the hell out of anyone who wants to end something on their terms.
Yeah. To clarify, for normally we would be totally for this. Like, I actually quite enjoy it when an author's like, hey, I want to end this shit normally. I don't want to stretch it out. My main problem, and when I'm done with this, I'll let David. I don't know if this is his problem as well. My issue with this is that, like, if this news came, let's say this news came right after the first arc was done. It's like, all right, this is going to, there's only, like if it was like a 2-arc series, like arc 1, escape there, arc 2, make it to the human world, done, right? That would make sense to me. Okay, it's going to be a short series, that's fine. My issue comes from the fact that we just had the Goldie Pond arc, which to me felt like nothing more than an arc to artificially extend it to be longer. It felt like what you'd get in a typical like Bleach type manga, where like, okay, here's this arc where the next 50 chapters are going to be nothing but fights, and fights for fight's sake, right? And
I need to show off this cool little power, so I'm going to make this character fight this character, and I'm going to make this character fight this character, a la Bleach.
I find that typically what you have in a series that's going to be short, like Fullmetal Alchemist, or, and list any other series under like 100 chapters here, or under 150 chapters here, typically everything means something. Like there's not a lot of wiggle room to just put in bullshit scenes here and there, right, because you're going somewhere. My issue with this is that the Goldie Pond arc, for the most part, there were chapters in the Goldie Pond arc that literally, you could find an entire chapter that was just devoted to them, weird, like fighting a demon. And it wasn't even a good fight. What?
I've got the Goldie Pond arc, just taken down here. Mm-hmm. We're going to have 5 chapters of, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to restate that same goal 3 more times before the chapter's over. Yeah. And then I'm going to fight this fucker over here for 2 chapters. Then I'm going to fight this other fucker for like 5 chapters. And then I'm going to restate my goals over and over and over again. And then I'm going to go fight the last fucker.
It's strange for a series that up until then, every chapter had been adding to the lore. Every chapter was progressing the story. There's more lore here. Okay, so let's look at the first arc, right? Every chapter you were learning a new thing about the house, or Mama, or the outside world, or their escape plan. Even before
Or even learning a little bit about Chrome.
Yeah, exactly. And even before Goldie Pond, on the way there, you were at least getting some world building, not amazing world building, but some, right?
Right.
Goldie Pond was an arc that just felt like it was there to stall for time, which led me to believe that this was going to be the next,
I'm going to create something.
Yeah, no problem. Which led me to believe that this was going to be the next, big, 60 to 70 volume series. And I'm okay with it being short, but yeah. So here's my thing. When I started this series, like a lot of series, one of the things that was really, really satisfying about it and reading it from week to week was the wonder of what is this world going to be like, okay? And I loved piecing together clues and what we saw. So, like, I would do things like, even like, you know, the first chapter where we saw like the gears and the machinery in the room, and I was like, oh, is that alien, or is it, like, what are these demons? Like, they call them demons, but are they really aliens or creatures, or you know, like, there was so much lore that fascinated me. The whole flower thing, and I'm glad we learned about that. You know, like, why is there always a flower sticking out of this? What are the demons' physiology like? What's their world like? Are they even on Earth? There was so much intrigue to this beginning of this series where it was like, where's this going? What, you know what I mean? And it just feels like such a waste, because my main issue with this is for a series where the main thing that kept me reading in the beginning was what's going to be outside of this world. What are they going to have to experience in this world that they don't even know about? And that was played up. The fact that they were in a world where it was like, we have no idea what's out there, right? And the problem you run into is, not only has there been little to no world building.
1 second, I'm going to touch on that in a second.
Well, yeah. I'd like to keep talking. Yep. Not only has, I just want to finish my point. Not only has there been little to no world building, because like, and by world building I mean, I want to see, you know, what are their cities like? What are their civilization like? What about the demon side of this planet is different, unique, interesting? You know what I mean? What are the, you know, and maybe we'll see a bit more of that depending on how long this final arc's going to be. We're hearing 10 to 15 volumes maybe. Which,
also, you brought up a point a couple of discussions ago, right? Okay, so our pattern has been this.
David just drew this on his phone.
Gracefield to the shelter, to the Goldie Pond, back to the shelter, then
they're considering going back to Gracefield, yeah.
Yeah, and then the shelter to Cavidala, and then from Cavidala to the shelter.
Yeah, and look how contained that feels, right?
Exactly.
So like immediately, like, think about this series, like when you, and I want your thoughts on this. Like when we first started reading this, one of the things that got us so excited was this idea of, wow, you know, it's like, who knows what's out there? They're in this little cage, and they've never even experienced the world. And
exactly.
And the way that it was written was like this idea that, like, once they break out, it's going to become I assumed it was going to become like an adventure survivals thing, where it's like, we have this whole world to experience. We need to learn about this planet that we're even on, the real history. We've been lied to our whole lives.
Okay,
let's experience it.
Let's be realistic here. We got 10 to 15 volumes left, right? About 10,
and you typically get
10,
like 4. No, well, okay, so because each volume is 10 chapters, 40 chapters a year, you get 4 volumes per year. So that would be 2.5 to 3 years probably,
if we go that far.
Well, they said 10 minimum, so I'm going to guess 2.5 is a minimum, and then 3 to 3.5 is a maximum.
Or was that mistranslated?
I don't know. But I mean, that's what we've been
But if we're in the final arc, you know.
I mean, you can do a lot in 3 years if you up your pacing. I mean, it just depends on if you write them. Because if you write your chapters like you wrote Goldie Pond, where the entirety of the chapter was like the characters taking 2 steps, you know.
You can milk the fuck out of that. But, no, but, like, here's my issue. If we got 10 volumes left, we still have left to do, because Emma's goal has been to free everyone.
She even said, I want to free every plantation, to even the fucking vegetable, like the ones that are vegetables, and we got to see Emma like have her fucking mind breakdown, which I assume she's gonna have.
So we still gotta go back to Glory Bell. We still gotta go to fucking the mass produce farm. We still gotta go back to Gracefield, free them. We still gotta go back to the other facility that Norman's at, free them, and then still, rewrite the promise.
Yeah, I guess
so. We got 5 main goals, because I'm going to assume that I'm hoping and fucking praying that we're not going to go boom, 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 back and forth between those 4 spots.
Because think about how small the scope of this series would be, right? Like think about the best manga of all time. Like, think about manga like Hunter x Hunter. Even, regardless of how you feel about Naruto, they went places in Naruto.
Right.
Like, oh, here's the village of blah, blah, blah. Here's the boo, blah, boo, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And the world felt real, tangible. If you asked me to fucking map out this world, all I know is...
I just fucking did it.
Yeah, you fucking did. Okay, but yes, you did. But let me make my point. You're not wrong. But like literally, we know. Okay, we know this fucking orphanage, this fucking base over here, fucking, like this underground base, this
we
shelter.
do have that one cave that one dude's in.
Goldie Pond. We have the fucking facility Norman's in. But these are all just, so the majority of the fucking...
But we don't know, we've never experienced those outside of
The point I'm saying is the majority of the locations and the world building in this series is random fucking, like, underground lab bases everywhere. And the bullshit just trek from each of them, which is always just boring ass landscapes, either forest or canyon or desert, but like nothing interesting in them. You had like the 2 chapters where it's like, all right, here's this tree that fucking tries to eat you in its roots, and then he just gave up on that ever being a thing anymore.
Right.
Like, so I just not good.
That's like Kubo giving up on Renji's fucking face tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, but that was more of an art detail. This is more of he's just gave up on making the world different and unique.
Yeah, but I would assume he doesn't want to draw that all the fucking time.
No, I don't mean that. It's simple things like when you go to an island and when you
Posku doesn't want to draw that all the time. I should say.
When you go to an island in One Piece, they introduce here's the weird things about this island, right? Yep. They continue to be a through line through the rest of the series. So you go to Sky Island and it's like, okay, in Sky Island, here's these clouds that are actually like tangible and you can like do this to them, and here's this, right? And we have these dials where you can spit out these clouds and make paths. So later in that arc, the combat revolves heavily around those clouds and like using them for footing and leverage and stuff. That's how a good author implements world building. Exactly. So what I'm saying is if he introduced some more of the nature or the biology or the differences of this world, he could have our characters get around with that. I'd like to see chapters of them hunting the wildlife. Is it, like what's nature like? Is it different? Because we've seen the weird fucking bird creatures underneath. It just strikes me as an author that didn't because remember we saw that one really cool double page spread with like the birds and like do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like the different the alien looking bugs and everything looked different and alien and almost like Journey to the Center of the Earth-ish, right? And my thing is, some people don't focus on those little details, but those little details are what makes a series.
They damn sure let themselves be, milking the fucking hell out of the series and like, no, they can do no wrong. You better not criticize the series, even though that's your fucking what you want to do with your fucking channel is like analyze the goddamn series. If something's going to be shit, it's going to be shit.
Mm-hmm. And the point I wanted to make was that those little touches that can seem useless are what makes a world feel real.
Exactly.
So when you have little details like, hey, in this world, this thing, like this is what the currency is, this is what people eat, it's those little details that make
we
the
know
world
none of this.
Yeah, and maybe that seems fucking trivial to you, but I'm sorry, look up any fucking like top list of like best world building or best manga period. Most of them make the world feel believable. Right now, I just get the massive vibe that he doesn't care. And fine, I guess, it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I remember when this series came out, I've been reading it since I had like 15 chapters, and the draw, for me specifically, was not how they were going to escape. It was never, how are they going to escape? The draw was, what are they going to see when they escape? Right. That was the draw. And yes, it was fun. It was very Death Note-y to see them like trying to escape, but my main thing was like...
Was it really? I mean, they just fucking grappling hooked over.
Well... Yeah, I mean, and that was another thing. That's when my disappointment actually started with Promised Neverland, is because, like, the escape itself was pretty underwhelming, but the preparation for the escape
was preparation was godly.
Yeah.
And then they just grapple hook over there with fucking sheets and...
Everything changed when Ray didn't burn to death.
Hashtag, can't kill kids.
Yeah, fucking, have you read... wait, let me think. Yep, no, Hunter x Hunter's definitely killed kids. I had to think about it.
Yeah. You can't kill kids when you're a new mangaka.
Kids with kids. But no, I mean, like, so my final, what it comes down to is, if this is your final arc, you are ending this series, you have wasted so much of your time with bullshit, shonen trivial bullshit. Please let me finish my point. You have wasted so much of your time with shonen trivial bullshit when you could have been actually expanding your character development, your worlds, all the stuff like that. So what you're telling me is the last basically 50 chapters have been complete, utter nonsense. With give or take like 3 or 4 important chapters. Like I'd say the Norman chapter was good. The chapter that talked to Minerva was good. A couple of those chapters with the history between Bayon and Lewis were good. But other than a lot of them were just completely useless.
Oh yeah.
So and that's okay.
The majority of Goldie Pond.
You get to have useless chapters if you're going for a long running series. Exactly. There's plenty of useless Naruto chapters. I could even point to a couple useless One Piece chapters. But if
could you point to a useless Hunter x Hunter chapter?
I don't think so. He really packs a lot of details in them. But
it also helps that it's massive walls of text.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, it's just that's my main thing. And now, go ahead and do your point.
Okay, so here's how you could have fixed Goldie Pond. You could have made it in the fight as you're going in to get to the discussion with Minerva. You, as we've stated before.
Yeah.
And then that would have made Goldie Pond meaningful.
Because you need to have a goal. Like, the goal should be in the future. Like, that should be what you're going towards, right?
Yeah.
So when you're a reader, it's a lot more fun to read as like, oh, I want them to get that thing that they want, so then you can root for them in the fight. But at this point, we've gotten the thing, and now we're just bailing. Yeah. And so, like, the getting of the thing was the first thing that happened in that arc, and then the rest of the arc was just like, can you leave already? It's almost, okay, I'm gonna make a metaphor on the spot. It'll probably be shitty, but I don't care. It's like if you went over to a friend's house to get a piece of cake, you walk in, you grab the cake, and then everyone's like stop tripping you on your way out of the door. It's like, just let me leave with my goddamn cake.
I'm still trying to catch it as I'm exiting. But, no, goddamn, I fucking despise that you're going to end it this way. You're going to end it so goddamn stupidly.
I mean, the final arc could be godly. We don't know.
It could be, but if Goldie Pond is how you're going to end, if you're going to leave that blemish, you're going to leave that blemish. Yeah. At least make something that came out of Goldie Pond worth a goddamn.
I mean, Lewis did die, didn't he? I had to remember.
Lewis is super dead.
Lewis was fun. I think the most of that arc was for the Minerva conversation, obviously.
Right.
But it's just weird how long that took for a long running series, or for like what's going to be a short running series.
Right.
Now, my only theory that I have, and we'll start to wrap this video up now. My only theory that I have is maybe he legitimately couldn't think. Maybe he needed time to plan out his final arc, and this was his way of stalling for time. I could see there potentially being some bullshit where they wouldn't let him go on any hiatus or break because he's too new of an author. I don't know. So maybe like he was in a position where it's like, I'm just gonna create some bullshit arc because he always wanted it to be short. Right. So I wonder if this was just his bullshit like stall for time arc while he was like planning out the actual shit. He did some low effort chapters that took nothing to make, because let's be honest here, a lot of those chapters were just like, okay, I could write some of those chapters. Like, okay, demon charges. They throw they 10-10 the fuck out of it and throw every weapon under the sun at it. And then it's like there's nothing, no brain power was used in making those chapters.
Right.
But occasionally there were some chapters in between those shitty chapters that seemed to be important, like the Minerva ones, like the Lewis Bayon backstory ones. So I really do feel like a lot of that was just like, all right, this week I need to actually plot out and plan my final arc because I didn't expect it to get this far.
Right, and I can, like I said, I respect the hell out of anybody that wants to send something on their terms. I just want it to be meaningful. I want that final arc to mean something. And if you're going to give us this final arc right now, you have to redeem that Goldie Pond arc to make this series have a legacy, essentially. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to be Bleach and live on only that first arc.
And I could see that too. I could just see like 5 years from now, if this final arc is bad, this will be a series that is remembered. Like, remember when that first arc of Promised Neverland it was so fun. It had such potential, and then because that's how I feel about Bleach. When I watched the first Bleach opening, I get sad because I'm like, God, it had so much potential. And this is how I'm feeling about Promised Neverland, because again, the feelings that I got when I read that first arc, so much of it was like, man, so much wonder and like, wow, what's going to be out there? And like I still want to know, like one of my basic questions that I hope is answered is, what the fuck are the demons? They keep calling them demons, but the lore was, we call them demons because we have this book and that's all we know.
Right.
I assumed they were aliens for a while. We need these answers. We can't.
We need that. We need to know what their culture is. We need to know, what the fuck.
Otherwise, they're gonna be just fucking useless ass bowling pins to be knocked over by our main characters. If they don't have.
Well, let's face it. Useless ass bowling pins to be knocked over by fucking Emma, because none of the other main characters really do jack dick.
They haven't in a while, no.
Like, it's just been the Emma show, like Thurman said. Like, I do agree with him there. Like, it's literally just been Emma getting fucking friendship bullshit power up.
But we will be here. We will stick it out till the very end. We will review every fucking chapter, barring that we die. We will review every chapter until the end, and hopefully...
Hopefully, we show more enthusiasm in that, and
we'll be on the ride, man, till the end. Whether it fucking spirals down into a steaming pile of garbage or fucking lifts itself up. We'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, we get some of these goddamn answers. If not, till then, peace.